Hello YouTube. Robert Alvarez, the Psychic Witch, also known as Mr. Lighting and a Fan. I feel wonderful, and I hope and pray that you feel just as wonderful, if not more so. Right now the time is approximately 6:59 p.m. Eastern Time, and the date is Wednesday, August 12th, 2020. The moon is waning in Gemini, and the sun is transiting in Leo. How are you, and how you doing? So, let me take a sip of this beautiful tea, Twinings Lemon and Ginger. I'm going to have my awesome audiovisual person do a close-up of the box. This tea has officially warmed up on me, or warmed up for me, or I've warmed up to it. I think y'all know what I mean. And, because I think this is the second video I've done where this is the featured tea. So I'm going to have a sip, and then I'm going to keep talking to y'all. Oh, that is so good. So, let me tell you, well, first of all, let me acknowledge, I'm going to acknowledge somebody that I believe I acknowledged in a previous video. Her name is Dulce Rodriguez, and I'm going to also acknowledge my newest YouTube channel subscriber, Laura Martinez, who subscribed to my YouTube channel while I was on my Philadelphia vacation. And I wanted to talk a little bit about that because I had a phenomenal time. You know, I'm just overjoyed. I am absolutely overjoyed, and you know, I'm thrilled for a lot of reasons. Number one, this was my first time visiting Philadelphia for more than a day. In fact, it was not a day trip. Historically, I would always go to Philadelphia on a day trip. And going for 6 days was wonderful and magnificent. Although now I realize why some people need a vacation after they come back from a vacation, because they're always doing something. And I'm just like, and it was so funny because I'm like, you know, I for the record, I had not still fully recovered. But I did need to do some things today. I did need to do some administrative stuff, make some phone calls, reply to some emails, send some emails, and just wonderful. And then of course, you know, there's also the fact that you know, my awesome audiovisual person for my YouTube videos needed this vacation a lot more. However, he is an essential worker, and he was not able to get the time off. Historically, this would be the time that his supervisors would be like, no problem, take all the time you want, you know? But things are a little different now. Speaking of which, I was very, very pleased to see there was a lot of social distancing going on. There was a lot of mask wearing going on. I did see a few people walking around without masks, but, you know, I made a point of, like, starting to, like, create a 6 feet distance between them. I definitely had remembered that I became a bit of a hypochondriac a few years ago. So, you know, when I, you know, I remember there was one time I was in my hotel room and I started to feel very warm. And I remembered saying to myself, Robert, why don't you calm the fuck down, number one? And number two, take off the comforter that is making you feel warm. So I did just that, by the way. By the way, I'm healthy and well. So, you know, because I was just like, you know, and I had the air conditioning on. And by the way, I was cold because the flat sheet wasn't doing it. So I kept the air conditioner on, had the flat sheet, put the comforter on top of the flat sheet, and then I'm like feeling warm the following day. It's like, Robert, please, you know, my life can be very entertaining, I must admit. Anyway, so all that being said, I wanted to talk to you a little bit about my Philadelphia vacation. I want to show you some of the things that I purchased. First of all, I want to have my awesome audio-visual person do a close-up of the business card of this wonderful business. It's called Artists and Craftsmen Supply. And it's a wonderful store. I found beautiful greeting cards. I found a treasure trove of both purple pens and blue pens, because, you know, having this deep connection to the moon, you know. So I absolutely found some wonderful things, including this beautiful pen pouch. It says wand collection for pointing and waving. And I must admit, it was so beautiful because it never occurred to me that a pen, you know, that thing that's mightier than the sword, is a wand. You know, like, booyah! Abracadabra. You know, it just never occurred to me. And I'm like, no, you know. So I'm going to have my awesome audiovisual person do a close-up of this super cute pen pouch. And I also found this really cool tote bag. And it's a black cat that says chow time. It's so cute. Look at this, how cute. I'm going to have my awesome audiovisual person do another close-up of this. And I'm going to read what it says on the bottom. So it's a Blue Q product. And the website is Blue Q, capital B as in Barry, L, well, you don't have to do the capital, but B as in Barry, L as in Larry, U as in Ulysses, E as in Edward, Q as in Quentin.com. So, oh, reading glasses, you know what that means. Okay, Blue Q, very best quality, woven from 95% post-consumer material. 1% of the sale of this bag supports environmental initiatives around the globe. Art by Martha Rich. And then here it reads, over $300,000 donated since 2009. Visit blueq.com to learn more. And if I'm not mistaken, my pen pouch, my magical pen pouch is also a Blue Q product. So yeah, I had a wonderful, wonderful time. Of course, I finally had the opportunity to visit Philly Aids Thrift. And of course, when I'm in Philadelphia, I always visit Philly Aids Thrift at Giovanni's room, which used to be called Giovanni's room, until the Philly Aids Thrift organization purchased Giovanni's room. That's why it's continued to survive and thrive. I'm just thrilled. But I'm getting a little ahead of myself. So, you know, one of the things that I personally am proud of is that, with the exception of going to a CVS, every place that I visited and purchased from in Philadelphia was, or rather is, an independent bookseller or a small business, and all of them are local businesses. So I was so thrilled about that. That made me super happy. Speaking of independent booksellers, there is a book, so I subscribe to a lot of different email newsletters, and one of them is for Penguin Random House Publishers. And I remember a few days before the beginning of my Philadelphia vacation, I had received this wonderful email about a bookshop called Harriet's Bookshop. And then I was like, oh, I would love to go to this place. Where is it? And then I keep reading, Philadelphia, Pennsylvania. And I was like, oh, this just made me so happy. Because, you know, I mean, it's so funny because even though I'm a gay man, and even though I am Afro-Cuban, by virtue of the fact that my maternal grandmother's maternal grandmother was a black woman, I really don't read a lot of books like queer studies books or African American studies books, which I've now decided I'm going to start calling African studies. I'm not going to call them African American studies. I'm either going to call them African studies or black studies. So it made me supremely happy to go to an independent bookseller that is owned by a woman of color. That made me super happy. I'm actually going to show you. I'm going to show you their tote bag first, and it was so funny because the person who helped me, his name is Messiah. Beautiful energy, sharp as a whip, very personable. I was truly impressed with his level of customer service. And as somebody that used to work in retail, I tend to be very hard on people that do not provide even a modicum of customer service. I mean, you don't have to greet me by name. You don't have to have a cappuccino or a café con leche waiting for me, ready to be poured. No, you can just say, hello, sir, how are you? Can I help you today? Whatever. You know, when people don't even give me a minimum of customer service, it's like, what am I doing here? You know? But Messiah went above and beyond, giving me excellent customer service, even to the point of giving me directions to my next place to visit. And it was so funny because when I saw the screen of his phone, it was cracked. And I was like, oh my goddess, I wish he was here. He, meaning my awesome audiovisual person for my YouTube videos, who is also my amazing computer tech person for my electronics. Because, well, let me just tell you, I am very fortunate that when it comes to my smartphones, he is the person that I consult. Actually, he does the consulting on his own and then tells me what he's going to give me. So it works out beautifully that way. But he's also he's replaced the screens of my cell phones on numerous occasions, and unfortunately he's going to need to replace the current one because it fell again. And unfortunately it fell twice since the beginning of the month. It fell once in my hotel room last week when I was in Philadelphia, and it fell once, was it yesterday or the day before yesterday? Was it yesterday that my phone fell here, or the day before yesterday? Yesterday. So it fell yesterday. So that's twice that it fell. Screen, floor. Like the screen fell on the floor. Never mind the back. The back is padded up the wazoo between the padding and what's under the padding and the business cards and the different other cards that I have in the slots. No, it fell screen down. Like, so now it's cracked in two places, and they're long cracks. Like one is from one side to the other, one is from the top to the bottom. It's really bad. But Messiah's screen was worse, you know. And it's, you know, if Drake was there, I would have been like, let him take care of it for you. I'll pay him for it. Let me give it to you as a gift because you're super cool and you deserve it. And I cannot see you walking around with this. It was massively cracked. It was very badly cracked. Like you could cut your finger, kind of cracked. Anyway, so let me show you the Harriet's. So when I was about to leave, he said, did you want a bookmark? At least I thought he said bookmark. He said book bag. And the book bag was given to me free of charge. And it is beautiful. And it's a tote bag. So I'm going to have my awesome audiovisual person do a close-up. And yes, Harriet's Bookshop is named after the late, great Harriet Tubman. And yes, that is a rifle as part of the design. I love this. It made me so happy. I am the bag man. Cuckoo, cuckoo. And I'll show you one of the books that I purchased. And I purchased it, I'll admit, because well, two reasons. Number one, I watched the limited edition HBO series Watchmen, based on the motion picture Watchmen. And it was set in Tulsa, and it opens up in Tulsa in 1921. And this is the book. It's entitled Tulsa 1921, Reporting a Massacre by Randy Crable, I believe that's the pronunciation of his name, forward by Carlos K. Hill. So I'm going to have my awesome audiovisual person do a close-up of the book. I cannot wait to read this book. I cannot wait because it fascinates me, and that topic, that incident in history fascinates me greatly. And, you know, when it comes to reading books, mostly they're either metaphysical books, like witchcraft, tarot, what have you, or they're cozy mysteries, or they're psychological suspense thrillers. I really don't read a lot of short stories type of thing. However, I saw this book, and when I began reading the synopsis, I'm like, I have to have it. So it's entitled Octavia's Brood, Science Fiction Stories from Social Justice Movements. Now, Octavia refers to Octavia E. Butler, who was a prolific science fiction writer, and I believe she was probably the first 20th century black woman science fiction writer. And I'm going to have my awesome audiovisual person do a close-up of this book. And I haven't begun reading it. Listen, I purchased a lot of books when I was away. So I have yet to begin reading any one of them. So I'm looking for, and you know, it's not every day that I read a book of short stories, but every once in a while I get into that vibe of like, I'm reading a short story book. Anyway, the other book that I want to show you, and I'm not going to show you yet, but I do want to have my awesome audiovisual person do a close-up in a moment. As soon as I find something that I better find. Yes, I found it. Okay. So, in the meantime, so another place that I went to is called Omoizaka, and it's a beautiful shop that sells everything from stationery item. Hold that thought. Living in a city. I forgot the name of the wonderful tarot reader who had commented on how hysterical she found my saying that, and I can see her face in my mind, and I can hear her voice in my mind. And it was a wonderful video that she did, and I just don't remember her name. When I remember her name, I'll update and edit the description box and include it. But in the meantime, so, yeah, so, one of the other places that I went to was Omoizaka, and they sell stationery, and they sell pens, and they sell sundry items, and they sell tote bags. So I want to show you the gorgeous tote bag that I purchased. Now the funny thing is, this tote bag, according to the store's inventory, is listed as smoky quartz, meaning the description of the color is smoky quartz. However, it looks like a dusty mauve to me, and it just so happens that I went into the store on a Thursday, a day of Jupiter, or as I say lately, day of Juno/Jupiter. And one of my favorite sections of The Goddess's Guide to Love by Marjorie LaPandra is where she writes about the cosmic colors vibration section. So on a day of Jupiter, it is ideal to wear or use purple, lavender, or lilac. So, and it just so happened that I was wearing a purple shirt. Actually, it was a light lavender colored V-neck t-shirt, and I was wearing dark plum socks. Everything else was black. And when the clerk saw me, she was like holding it next to me, and I was like, okay, I'm gonna buy it. It's very reasonably priced. I think it was only $34. But I'm going to have my awesome audiovisual person do a close-up. So it has the adjustable shoulder strap, it has the handles. You know, for the last several years when I buy bags, I love that they have a shoulder strap and handles. Whether it's one handle or two like this. It has a pocket with, I haven't even taken off the price tag, I know. It has a pocket with a zipper, which is really deep. And it only has one pocket, which is fine. It's very convenient, it's super light, it folds up beautifully, it's like, you know, I'm done. And I look forward to using it again. And, of course, I love the word bibliophile, so what did I do? I purchased a book entitled Bibliophile. And I love, love, love this book. I'm just going to briefly read the synopsis. This volume brims with bookish treasures, all delightfully illustrated by avowed bibliophile Jane Mount. For your next great read in lovingly curated stacks of books, test your knowledge of the written word with quizzes. Sample the most famous fictional meals, peek inside the workspaces of your favorite authors, tour the world's most beautiful bookstores, and meet an adorable array of bookstore cats. Isn't there something about how one usually sees a cat in a bookstore? It's one of the reasons why, when it comes to non-witchy, non-psychic, non-ghost themed cozy mysteries, books, cafes, cats. It's like, you know, that whole, you know, whatever. Dive into this enchanting collection to fall in love with books over and over again. And I love the book. So I'm going to have my awesome audiovisual person do a close-up of the front of the cover and the back of the cover. And believe it or not, I just noticed the red satin bookmark. Look at this. Well, it's not really satin, but it's kind of satinish. I did not notice this until just now, seriously. Okay, so we have that. We have that. Now, most of you know, well, actually I don't know if most of you know this, but I know this about me. The people who really know me know this about me. My awesome audiovisual person from my YouTube videos absolutely, fanatically knows this, fanatically well knows this about me. I am very, very, very big on keeping my promises and doing what I say I'm going to do. And for me, if I cannot keep my promise, I don't care how reasonable the reason is, to me it's a poor excuse. Like if I said I was going to help somebody move, and God forbid I have to go to the hospital, I'd be like, that's a poor excuse. I would say that about me, I wouldn't say that about anybody else, but that's me. Like that's my thinking, because I'm like, I should have been able to keep my promise. Why could I not keep my promise? That's like my process kind of thing. So, so one of the things that I wanted to do was purchase a copy of a certain book at Philly Aids Thrift at Giovanni's room, because I stated publicly on their Instagram page that I was going to buy this book. And believe me, I took that promise, I took that statement very seriously. But beforehand, I want to have my awesome audiovisual person do a close-up of my outfit, because the pair of pants I purchased at Philly Aids Thrift at Giovanni's room, they're very comfortable, they're a bit snug, they have a drawstring waist, which is very convenient, and this gorgeous, gorgeous shirt, which I'm going to have him do a close-up of the design on the front. It has that famous love sign logo from Philadelphia, and in case you're wondering, this kind of rainbow flag design is called the Progressive Pride flag, because it has the black stripe at the top, it has the brown stripe underneath, and then it goes from red to orange to yellow to green to blue to purple. It's called the Progressive Stripe. And I purchased a Progressive Stripe pin at Philly Aids Thrift at Giovanni's room as well, and I'm going to have my awesome audiovisual person do a close-up of this one as well. It's beautiful. I cannot wait until it gets cooler so that I can wear a denim jacket and put all of my pins, all of them, on my jacket. And of course, being a bear, I had to buy this one. And I love this so much. And I'm going to read the back of it before he does a close-up. It reads, "Roots of Our Pride." I love that. And I've actually seen, and it's funny because the same designer, not the same designer, but the guy's name is Dylan Wise, and he has an Etsy shop. And I love all of his merchandise. His merchandise is very, very similar to this. You know, the fist raised in empowerment and black power, and then of course there's the bear claw and the bear flag design. So I'm going to have my awesome audiovisual person do a close-up of that one as well. And yes, I have worn it once already. I've worn both pins at least once already, so I'm looking forward to wearing them again. Okay. Anyway, so I stated publicly that I was going to read this book, that I was going to buy this book at Philly Aids Thrift at Giovanni's room, and it is called How to Be an Anti-Racist by Ibram X. Kendi. This is one of those books that even if I'm not ready to read, it's like, you're going to read me, bitch. You are going to read this book right now, and that's all there is to that. So I've already started reading this book unofficially. It becomes official when I update my Goodreads account to say I'm reading this book. But I'm going to read a little bit of the synopsis. So, from the National Book Award winning author of Stamped from the Beginning comes a bracingly original approach to understanding and uprooting racism and inequality in our society and in ourselves. And then it has a quote from the book. "The only way to undo racism is to consistently identify and describe it, and then dismantle it. Anti-racism is a transformative concept that reorients and re-energizes the conversation about racism, and even more fundamentally, points us toward liberating new ways of thinking about ourselves and each other. At its core, racism is a powerful system that creates false hierarchies of human value. Its warped logic extends beyond race, from the way we regard people of different ethnicities or skin colors to the way we treat people of different sexes, gender identities, and body types. Racism intersects with class and culture and geography, and even changes the way we see and value ourselves. In How to Be an Anti-Racist, Kendi takes readers through a widening circle of anti-racist ideas, from the most basic concepts to visionary possibilities that will help readers see all forms of racism clearly understand their poisonous consequences, and work to oppose them in our systems and in ourselves. It's just a brilliant book. It's a brilliant book, and the little that I read or started reading of it is just beautifully written and very, very eye-opening and mind-awakening, or mind-reawakening as the case may be. I want to reassure all of you that I'm healthy and well. I want to reassure all of you that this vacation was definitely needed. For the last several years, I have found that my professional psychic practice is especially abundantly full from September through the following February. So I knew that even though my awesome audiovisual person for my YouTube videos needed the vacation so much more, I knew that taking the vacation was going to make a difference. And it really did. It absolutely has. I am so thrilled that I went to so many new places in Philadelphia, especially since I'm a Google local guide. And now that a lot of places have reopened, and some places have actually closed. And it's funny because I recently received a new badge as a Google local guide. I received the Master Photographer badge because there is a cafe that is 2 blocks away from the hotel where I was staying. And I went one day. The day that I wanted to go, I didn't go because my GPS was being temperamental and I wound up going to another cafe. So, and that was last Tuesday. That was exactly 8 days ago. The following day, a lot of emotional issues came up and I was dealing with that. So I went on Thursday. And then on Thursday, I discovered that the hours in Google Maps are not the actual hours. So what did I do? I took a photograph of the hours, and then I posted it to Google Maps and said, I need you to, do it. I'm doing an edit because the hours that are listed in Google Maps are not the correct hours of this cafe at this time. So fine. So then I go the following day. Closed for summer break. They were closed from Thursday. They were closed from Friday, August 7th through Monday, August 10th. And they reopened yesterday, Thursday, August 11th. They reopened yesterday, Tuesday, August 11th, 2020. I was like, you know what? I'm not meant to be a customer. I'm not meant to be. It's not meant to be. I'm not going to come back here. And then I'm talking to one of the employees of the hotel who happens to be a Wiccan. And she's like, oh, I love that place. You should go. I'm like, okay. So I promised myself that when I go back to Philadelphia, which will be next year, I promised myself vehemently that I would not allow more than 13 months to go by without returning to Philadelphia. And I'm actually considering returning to Philadelphia within the next few months, as in early 2021, but I haven't decided officially when yet. But it's definitely in the works. So I decided that I would definitely return within 13 months of my return from Philadelphia this month. And I promised myself that, okay, I'll give this cafe one more chance. That's it. If I go back and they're closed, for whatever reason or reasons, I'm like, okay. Then I really, really know it wasn't meant to be. But yes, I saw a lot of mask wearing. I saw a lot of social distancing. I saw some people not wearing masks. I saw some people not wearing masks for reasons that are not socially acceptable. I actually took the SEPTA train system, or the subway system, my last Friday, which I had not done in years. And for the record, they upgraded their trains. They're no longer trolley looking. Now they look like actual subway trains. So that was new to me. But there was a woman who was on the seat across from me. Like, I'm sitting here, there's a seat next to the window here, and then across the aisle there are 2 seats next to each other. So she was seated in the one that's the aisle seat as opposed to the window seat. And all of a sudden I felt an itch in my nose. With some of my cotton face masks, I noticed that sometimes there'll be like something that I pick up. And I found that wearing a face mask, there are certain things that I smell, and I smell the nuances of them very strangely. You know, it's funny, I call it having a wolfhound nose. A wolfhound nose. And it's really, to me, it's unusual. I'm not going to call it weird because I'm a psychic and a witch. For me to call something weird, it really has to be out there. But I do find it fascinating. Now, the great part of it is that if you smell something really good, you smell things you've never smelled before. Like I remember one time I was walking by this bakery and I smelled cinnamon, but I smelled something else with the cinnamon. And I was like, that's either nutmeg or clove. And it was fascinating because normally when I smell cinnamon, I don't smell anything else. And of course, the downside is that if you smell something bad, it's like, oh, really bad. And one day I was walking and there was this garbage truck that came by and I was like, oh boy, hold your nose. I was like, oh, and the closer I got to the back of the trash truck, oh. But the good things I smelled really good, really good. So I sneezed, you know. Now, the crazy thing was this woman, I can understand her getting upset, but the woman had her face mask, and it was a surgical style face mask, under her chin. And I wanted to go, you have it under your chin. You know, you can't have it under your chin. It doesn't help you here, it helps you here. But I kept myself calm and relaxed and, you know, all that other stuff. But anyway, I need to finish up this video because it's taken a little longer than I would prefer. Although I'm sure all of you are enjoying this video very much, but I want to do a few other videos tonight. But YouTube, thank you so much for honoring who I am and what I do. I am so thrilled that I could share some pieces of my Philadelphia vacation with you in this video. Although I did post a lot of photographs on my Instagram account, so I will include the link to my Instagram account on this description box. And you can look at all the Philadelphia vacation photographs. I would even recommend using the hashtag Philadelphia vacation. That way you'll see mine and all that other good stuff easier. But I am so honored and so happy that I had the honor and pleasure of being back in Philadelphia. I'm so thrilled that I feel good, that I feel even better than before, that I feel wonderful and amazing. And yes, I am ready to schedule appointments again. In fact, I actually need to follow up with somebody tonight, actually 2 people, and let them know what's happening and schedule some appointments with that and all that other good stuff. And yeah, that's pretty much it. So thank you again for honoring who I am and what I do. And as always, remember to like, comment, share, subscribe, and schedule your session. Have a good evening, and stay tuned for the next video.